And we all know time is, from a payroll point of view, is money, and from a business point of view. So if you have an inefficient system or an inaccurate system, you're always correcting times. Yeah, it's a cost. That all that kind of stuff adds up. And then to handle time theft, buddy punching, compliance risk, which all comes down to your accuracy. So yeah, it's small errors repeated every day can easily add up to thousands of dollars.
Smarter times, stronger teams. Welcome to the BundyPlus Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Bundy Plus Podcast. And this week I thought I would go over something that's close to my heart, and that is hardware terminals. And are they worth the investment, and what does it mean to business owners? Welcome, Levon.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's cold in Melbourne.
At that time of the year. Frosty. Can't say the
exactly.
same. Can't relate.
No, you can't. No, cool. All right, so straight up, Levon, do businesses still need a physical time clock? In a world of mobile apps, why do people still need a physical hardware time clock?
Yeah, look, I think in the world of mobile apps, and obviously them being very much so relevant, and more so for the remote staff, but for office-based on-prem staff, I think the hardware solutions are still quite effective for obviously tracking your time and attendance. Makes it kind of obvious in terms of where staff are, because even if you do have, I was actually talking to a client earlier and they were considering the mobile app for an on-prem scenario where they're not really using it for any remote work. Was just people could still kind of clock in from being in the car park or something like that. So also just having that, I guess, reliability, and then just a consistent process. I mean, you kind of know maybe it's easier to forget about clocking in and out on the mobile app, especially if you're going to be walking in the physical space and where the clock is. It's kind of, reinforces the process, and I think maybe minimizes confusion on the time tracking and the process as well.
Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't consider it still old technology, or it's still very relevant for today's sort of businesses?
No, very much so relevant. I mean, maybe not the older versions, the predecessors, the dinosaurs or the old school kind of Bundy punch cards.
Careful. I used to design those, right? I used to design them.
But yeah, now that we're here in 26 and we got facial recognition, RFID cards, all that other kind of stuff, tracking job costing, it's not the same type of tech as what it once was.
Mm. So is there any kind of industries that you think would benefit from physical time clocks?
Yeah, definitely. And even if we just consider where we kind of position ourselves in the market and the other industries, we got a pretty diverse, we work with very many different industries, from manufacturing, hospitality, construction, healthcare. So I think it's still relevant. It's not necessarily, again, when it comes to remote work and laborers and logistics and drivers and that kind of stuff, maybe not so much, or that's where the mobile app would be better positioned.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, aged care, logistics, retail, especially the smaller mom and pop type businesses. So for sure.
Yeah, because I know it's when I've been asked, what industry do we specialize in? It's literally a wagon wheel. There is no one specific industry. I mean, manufacturing is probably one of our biggest, but manufacturing covers thousands of things,
broad.
right? So it's not car wheels versus nuts and bolts. It's just it is the broad. And I think that comes down to what is the niche problem with time clocks is, just trying to record people's start and end times. That's their primary purpose. So what would be some of the hidden costs of time recording?
If it's not done properly, or if you're using manual processes, the main one is just time. I mean, and we all know time is, from a payroll point of view, is money, and from a business point of view. So if you have an inefficient system or an inaccurate system, you're always correcting times and that kind of stuff. And that's it's a cost. That all that kind of stuff adds up. And then to handle time theft, buddy punching, compliance risk, which all comes down to your accuracy. So it's small errors repeated every day can easily add up to thousands of dollars.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising when, we see some of the ops come in and they're going from paper timesheets or no recording, it's just purely an honesty system, to what is a time clock. The difference is chalk and cheese, really. One is a set and forget, just everyone does it, becomes muscle memory just to clock in. And that time that must be saved on the back end of that versus looking at timesheets, trying to manually enter them in or changing them. It's just, it's one of those things that always astounds me. Why don't people always use them? It's just part of their default. Just like opening the front door, you clock in.
Yeah.
People don't
It's
need to think about it. They don't need to walk back after, talking to Mary for 10 minutes and go, "Oh, shit, I forgot to clock in. I better go back and write in the sheet." Or, they do arrive late. As you're talking about buddy punching, if it's a manual paper system, if you arrive at 9:15, you're going to write down 9, right?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's one of the things.
It's so cumbersome and clunky, like those manual timesheets. And just like you said, I'm always kind of amazed how many people are still moving from that or still using that in their operations and then considering, yeah, obviously upgrading to some newer tech. Because there's obviously many clients that they're just using older tech, but they're still using time clocks nonetheless. But for
Yep.
like the manual entry stuff, it's just like in this day and age, it's just like how
Yep. Yep.
or why.
Yeah. So let's look sort of past what are the pitfalls. Like, what are the greatest advantages you get from a physical time clock?
Yeah, well, on the back of that, of what we just discussed is saving costs, return on investment. I was speaking to a client just earlier, and once we quoted everything and what it's going to cost them, he was just like, "Oh yeah, great! Like what it's going to cost me a month in terms of like the online subscriptions. That's just like a day, or not even wages of one employee for a day, and you've got 50 employees, and that's your cost across the month. It's kind of like a no-brainer."
Yeah, it is a no-brainer. And just to give people a bit of an idea what we're talking about at cost. So like the most popular, probably the UFA 7,
Mhm.
that's around $1,000. You own it, you don't have to rent it. Um, and a cloud subscription is about $1.60 per employee per month. It's like, it's crazy how cheap, like how much time do you save versus those dollars? $1.60 a month is not a lot, like roughly.
And especially going back to like where we kind of position ourselves in the market, and sure, we've got a vast range of industries that we facilitate or support. In terms of the employee sizes, like what our sweet spot's like 10 to 50 employees in terms of
50 to
business
100, I
sizes,
think,
50 to
is the
100.
biggest. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So for that, I mean, the cost of the payroll for that, if you multiply that by $1.60, I mean, like you're looking at like what, $70 to $150 a month.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
And
So
to even contemplate doing like a manual system for 50 to 100 just like blows me away. Like, why would you even do it?
yeah, I
It
think
makes
a
no
lot of
sense.
that just comes down to just being kind of resisting change essentially, and just being kind of comfortable
Mm,
and set in your
mm.
ways and maybe being ignorant. Or you might even know that it's going to save you money, but just getting around to actually doing it, implementing the system. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll probably touch on that a little bit later, like the whole technology side of it. I think it still freaks people out. It's still one of the biggest blockers in payroll per year on the reports that come out is payroll tech is hard, and that blows me away too. It's like it's probably the easiest part of what I consider the payroll cycle is the tech side, because that's what we obviously specialize in. We sort of demystify that bit. The things that scare me are like the awards and the complexity of the awards, and that's the things that
Mm.
the payroll people eat for jam.
Just on the back of that, I was going to say, like, when we talk about implementing a new system and change and all that kind of stuff, if we talk about our hardware as well, like specifically, like, I mean, it's all like plug and play, self-install. There's no, like, we don't need to go out there to set things up. It's a pretty efficient setup. I mean, all you
Yep.
need for the hardware is power and network connectivity, which can either be Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and you're good to go. And you also got the scalability to add on extra devices,
Yeah.
whether it's at the same site, whether it's at different sites in different states, in different countries, as long as they can talk to the internet. I mean, they can all talk back to your same account.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably one of the biggest changes that I've seen in my business lifetime in time and attendance is going back to when the original time clocks, they were connected via technologies that people don't even use these days. If you look in your back of your computer, there's like a DB, maybe.
Yeah.
Like they used to connect via that, things called, I won't get too technical, but it was actually hard to connect up multiple devices. It was hard to connect up one device, and then sort of Wi-Fi and Ethernet started, and that was great. It made it easier. But now with the modern ones, it's literally a plug and play anywhere in the world, and you're capturing straight away. It makes it so much easier than what it was
And
before.
exactly. Even our previous versions, even with Wi-Fi and Ethernet, it was like local only, like can only communicate on your
Yeah,
network. And
yeah,
now with
correct,
the
correct.
terminals that we have now, it's just like, well, as long as they can see the internet, you can access it from anywhere.
Yeah,
Same with the
correct,
cloud
correct.
account. So
Yeah. And the other two with the technology is it's gone away from what was, the magnetic swipe cards. It did transition into fingerprints just prior to COVID, and then COVID wiped
mhm.
out fingerprints and went to face recognition, and now we're going back to fingerprints a lot for whatever reason. But yeah, there's multiple ways you can capture them. So there's way more choice. There really is no blockers to being able to capture people's times in and out from anywhere anymore, whether it's a mobile
Mhm.
app or a physical device. Yeah, and obviously, the return on investment is crazy. So let's just go back to the compliance side. How does it help with
Mhm.
compliance?
well, this kind of just all ties back into like accuracy of records and efficiency, but more so the accuracy. And we touched on this with some of the previous episodes, especially with some of the ATO and payroll changes and requirements and compliance requirements. So being able to, well, like you touched on earlier with award, the time interpreting side of things. So making sure that that's up to date and tailoring your system, as in your Bundy Plus system, to meet the requirements of your awards. Or transparency from an auditing point of view, like being able to, like if we contrast that to manual timesheets, I mean, you have like almost no transparency on audit trails of whether it's buddy punching or whether it's a supervisor making a mistake and not realizing, well, who made that mistake. Well, with this system, you've got full transparency to know who's done what in the system.
When and how and why.
When, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then, yeah, from factoring in your rounding rules, all your time interpreting stuff, automatic breaks. Yeah, so good records, essentially, it's not just about paying people correctly. It's about, being compliant and essentially protecting the business.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to integration. I think this is probably one of the bits where the payroll community, I'll call them, get a little bit, they're either misinformed or they're just unaware that the integration of physical devices is a lot easier than what they think. I mean, we support how many now? I think it's getting close to 50 different payroll integrations. The biggest ones being the MYOB suite, Xero suite. Like if you go onto the Xero website, you won't see a time clock there. So it's like, oh, well, it doesn't do it. And that's a total misfallacy. We've been doing all these interfaces for so long. And so when it comes to time capture, you can actually take in those raw records and put them into a lot of these integrations. And probably from the point of failure as well, we take on a lot of that responsibility to make sure that you stay with your favorite payroll, and if technology changes, we take that load. We take in all the technology changes and make sure that nothing changes on your end. So we sort of obfuscate you from the technology, because technology is changing so quick. I mean, and as you know, we've got time clocks going back 25 years that are still compatible with Xero. There might be some connectors in between, some comms suites, but you can easily transition those into any different types of cloud platform. And probably the one of other things that because we specialize in just the hardware side, or the time capture side, it means that you're not tied into a one solution does all, because there are some payroll integrations that will sell you their clock and that's it. That's the only thing that will talk. But you might be like, but I don't like that clock, or that clock doesn't suit me, or I want to go to this payroll, but I've spent so much money on this clock that's not going to work with anything else. So I think where we benefit is from the flexibility of being able to change. And like we have a lot of migrations that go on. Someone says, hey, we're using your clocks. We're going to, I don't know, Elmo. Do they still work? The answer is yes. It's like, okay. Like, I mean, you probably get it more than me, like tell me some stories of people surprised that their clocks still work. They don't spend money.
I was just about to say, I mean, you talk about the tech changing and the business wanting to keep the same payroll. Well, yeah, conversely, like you just said, if they've got the tech, but they're changing their payrolls, that's something that we and I for sure deal with like almost on a daily basis. I mean, I think we did an episode, or if not, we've definitely spoken about the whole Xero migration. We have a lot of customers who are using Xero, and we all know that's become end of life now. And so we've, have to migrate a lot of clients over to whatever the payroll is. Well, obviously, we've seen a lot of them go over to Acumatica, but whatever it is, I mean, if you've got the hardware, nothing much else needs to change. There's obviously a migration that needs to happen, maybe some changes in the mapping and all that kind of stuff, but it's still relatively, you have that flexibility to be able to change and not be locked in. And people, I guess, some businesses and clients don't realize that. And going back to what you were saying about like Xero, you won't find any time clocks and stuff on the website. I mean, that's why for us working with dealers is so important to kind of get that word out there so that they know that, like we're compatible and we're flexible.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been around for a long time.
It's like a proprietary thing, Yeah,
we're the Toyota of time clocks.
Yeah, there you go, the Swiss Army knife.
That's right. So what are the misconceptions that you would hear about, physical time clocks, a Bundy clock type thing? Do you get that?
I think, maybe by the name, because maybe people might think of the old school Bundy clocks or punch cards.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know.
Probably we've got an app for that, or, the other one is, no, we'll do it internal. Like we'll do our own system internally. It's like, okay, go for it. Good luck. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, that too. Or maybe just being overly reliant on like mobile apps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So I think it's about obviously using the right we're not saying don't use mobile apps. This isn't an anti-mobile app podcast.
No.
But it's just like getting where you kind of fit in, or what your requirements
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
or what your needs are.
Yep. Yep. We're very much pro time capture. Doesn't matter how it happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So, what are the questions that businesses should be asking us? Like, if they're wondering about, should I get a time clock terminal, or what are some of the red flags or pain points that they might be seeing that then should lead them into maybe assessing getting a low cost time clock?
Yeah, so the first ones that come to mind is like spending excessive time on payroll. How much time is your payroll costing you? Just the process of doing payroll, how much time and therefore money is that costing you?
Yep.
Are your records accurate? I mean, are you constantly having to pull people up on, did you really clock in at this time, or you forgot to clock out, or when did you take your break? Buddy punching we mentioned earlier. Transparency from an auditing point of view.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
or how, and this goes back to another one of our, we did a whole podcast on the resilience of payroll, like how resilient are your systems? And I mean, the answer for a manual timesheet solution is not very resilient.
Yeah. Cool.
Anything to add to that, you reckon?
I think there's a hidden one as well where you can almost move the responsibility to what is a non-human to get the things done right. So if it was someone in payroll who was a little bit not so confident in asking, a big burly person, hey, did you clock in right? Or is this time look right? He's going to give him or give her or him back a like, no, that's right. Of course it's right. Versus if they were to introduce what was a physical terminal, then they just have to clock. There is no, confrontation. There is no awkward questions about, the wrong time. It's just part of the process. So
Yeah.
that would be one. So would you say that time clocks would give you like more confidence in the payroll, like the whole process?
Yeah, definitely. Again, especially if we're comparing that to using manual timesheets or any other type of manual process, or even older tech, I
Yeah.
would have a lot more confidence for sure. That's probably one of the main kind
Yeah.
of selling points, really.
Yeah, because if we were to look at like the whole, return on investment, not just on the time spent, like we're looking at better confidence in what is your payroll, like
Mm-hmm.
end to end, like the whole payroll chain from when they walk in to when they get to pay their super. We won't bang on about super. You've got better compliance.
Mm-hmm.
You've got better auditing. You've got less administration. The time's more accurate. So it's almost like a win-win-win. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where it comes back to. I'm always astonished that more businesses don't put them in. And like I might deep dive more into why. When you see there's so many benefits for such what is a little cost to install, it just seems like a no-brainer. Yet it's got the stigma of being the hardest bit. It's like, how is this the hardest bit? This is the easiest bit for us, whether we know about it, more than anyone else. But it's the best return on investment. Like
And
literally.
I don't know, I mentioned earlier, like people, what are the blockers? Is it most commonly like people just resisting change? But I think part of that is just being quite short-sighted. And especially if you are like a smaller business, maybe the upfront cost of paying $1,000 for a time clock is just like, oh, that's a bit steep. But I mean, if you play the long game or consider the long game, I mean, that $1,000 you might waste over a couple of months of payroll.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
you might make up for with a new hardware, new time clock.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Cool. All right. I think we've probably highlighted the benefits enough. If you had one thing that you could recommend to businesses why they should get a physical time clock, what would it be?
Well, I think money kind of appeals, or savings costs. I think that's kind of appeals to people the most. So I would be saying that, like return on investment and cutting costs. I mean, if you're a business, I mean, we're all trying to be successful. So I mean, why wouldn't you make that change to be more successful, to have more return on investment, or to
Yep.
have a more efficient system and save costs?
Yeah. Cool.
So Steve, what is the biggest reason that businesses should consider upgrading their hardware or looking for a more efficient time tracking system?
For me, it comes back to probably my number one thing is record everything. You record it as soon as you can, where you can. So if the point is people walking in out the door, that's when you record, because it's going to be the most accurate time. It's going to be the one that's going to be the most auditable down the track. It's going to be the one that's going to give you the most compliance. If there is an issue of clocking in, clocking out, you've got what is the original records for something. So for me, it's take out any of the unknowns, take out the things that could muddy the waters, just get something that's physically in there, and you've recorded it. Bang, you've done it. That's your timestamp. Everything upstream from that should be better, not your downstream systems letting you down to, when someone does do a Fair Work complaint. If you don't have those records, then you're going to be going backwards and forwards all the time. It becomes, he said, she said, there's no proof. So just record everything. So a physical time clock is probably the most honest way you can do that, or most accurate way, should I say.
Spot on. All right. I think that was a great chat. Any kind of final thoughts or closing remarks on all of that, Steve?
Yeah, probably just don't look at a time clock on the wall as like going back to Barney Rubble days where they're clocking in the client. It's much better than that. It's much more modern way of doing things, actually. So yeah, don't see it as a stigma putting a time clock. Actually put it in, educate your staff while you're putting it in, and you'll soon not do without it. That's probably been my message. Anything else from you, Levon?
I think we've covered everything there, Steve. Yeah, stay up to date is what I'd say. If we
definitely
simple everything down, like you said, record everything and stay current.
Yep. And if you have any issues with your tech, reach out. We certainly can help you with that.
100%.
All right.
Very
Thank
good.
you, Levon. All right.
No
Catch you,
worries,
mate.
Steve. See you in the next one.
Welcome to the Bundy Plus Podcast.